Hey, what up? It's Brad with Home Love Construction, and in this video, I want to explain why you would actually need a general contractor. Like, what do you really need a GC for, if we're being honest? I want to give you the real breakdown of that for you as a homeowner to understand why you would hire a GC or why you would not hire a GC. I'm going to show you both sides of it. But before I do, I would ask you to please hit the subscribe button below. I do a ton of videos like this to try to help people in their renovations, because one of the guiding pieces of our mission here at Home Love Construction is to spur the construction industry to rise to a higher standard of excellence and to make the contractor a trusted person in communities all over the world. So I'm trying to do it to be a good example. If you would reward me for that, please, by hitting the subscribe button below, I would appreciate it a lot. But to answer the question, why would you hire a GC, and what is the GC's job? GC standing for General Contractor. So the reason is actually quite simple. A GC is the person responsible for, on a major project, bringing everything together and making sure that instead of things going like you bring a bunch of different trades together, instead of them going like that and becoming a mess, the GC makes sure they all go harmoniously together like that and interlock, and sometimes making sure that things actually literally interlock. Obviously, we're talking about construction here. So the times that you would want a general contractor are when you're doing a project that has a lot of moving parts and a lot of different trades involved. Now, when I say trades, what I mean is concrete is a trade. Block work is a different trade from concrete. Most people don't know that. Framing is a trade. Roofing is a trade. Electrical, plumbing, HVAC, drywall, paint, flooring, trim, cabinets, those are all different trades. And a lot of times they're performed by different people. Now, some people think that a general contractor should employ, actually have W-2 employees to handle all of that stuff. And I'll tell you quite honestly, the best contractors that I know have no employees. Like literally, they don't have anyone in the field. They have employees in an office helping to manage people who are in the field, but they use subcontractor crews. And they think of things in terms of, okay, I need my drywall guy, then I need my painter, then I need my tile guy, then my flooring, my trim, my blah, 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 so on and so forth. The reason that they do that is because it's pretty simple. If you take a guy and you put him on a construction site, let's say he takes 5 years of just doing painting. The guy's gonna be a freaking brilliant painter. He's gonna know every single little thing. He's gonna know the best paint. He's gonna know how it covers the best. He's gonna know how to not have problems with the paint flashing here and there when we do this and that and blah, blah, blah. And when the tile guy nicks it with his tile, he's gonna know the intricacies of it. Whereas if you take a guy and you have him build houses all the way through from the ground up for 5 years, he's probably only gonna have 3 or 4 iterations on every single trade, versus the painter who's been painting 5 years, that guy's painted maybe 500 houses through those 5 years, and he's just got it, wham, done. Like it's almost like you blinked and he finished painting the whole house. And the reason that we as contractors, I mean, some contractors don't. Some contractors insist they must have their own in-house employees, and that's totally cool. But for contractors like me at Home Love Construction, we use all our subcontractor base, and that gives us a higher quality product. What it allows us to do is it allows us to hold those other trades accountable. The other thing that most people don't know is that when you have a business and employee, that relationship is such that the employee is in no way responsible for their actions on the job site. It's just not the case. As a contractor, if your employee does something that breaks a $10,000 tub, or they freaking fall to the side and stick let's say they have a razor knife and they cut through a $100,000 painting, the employee's not liable for that. The contractor is. The contractor can't even sue the employee for that. I mean, he could sue him, but he's not going to win because he's an employee. So when people bring in general contractors with employees, they think they might be getting a good deal. But in reality, what they're doing is they're hiring the person who can't hold their people accountable. And it's the craziest thing. But when you have a contractor and a subcontractor, Now you've got two businesses. Each has insurance, each has their own workman's comp. One has employees, sure, but that business is now responsible for anything that those employees do. And there's someone here, the general contractor, to hold that person and all these persons accountable. That is the magic of having a GC. That's really where it comes in. Your GC, if he's good and knows what he's doing, he should be customer oriented and subcontractor oriented at the same time. He should be able to, but he should be more customer oriented, if I'm being honest. And he should know how to work with his subcontractors such that he incentivizes them to get the job done really fast and really good. By the way, this whole like good and fast, you can't have both, whatever, that's BS. The best guys I know at things are also the fastest at things. And they're a lot of times they're very competitively priced. Like they're not freaking Picasso level prices. So that said, the GC's job, again, is to make sure that things mesh. So what are some examples of that? Well, a great example on a project that we just ran into is our ceiling heights on a new portion. Like we're adding a second story, right? And the ceiling, where the ceiling is going, there were a bunch of walls that were staying and a new floor was being built above them. And the floor needed to be at 10 feet and the walls only came up to 8 feet. And it didn't show on the plans that the walls needed to be built up. So it's the GC's job to make sure that the framer knows they got to do it. The drywall guy's got extra drywall. The electrician's got to run the extra wires and stuff like that. The plumber's got to bring his pipes up higher. And the GC has to make sure that all those little changes ripple out through the rest of his trades. And he needs to make sure that they're all lined up and they know what they're doing. The other thing that the GC does is he makes sure that long lead time things are there in a timely manner. So like, for example, right now, when we buy custom windows, they usually take anywhere from 6 to 12 weeks to arrive. I know that might sound crazy. You might sound like, how can that possibly be the case? Trust me, it is the case. And our job is to make sure that the windows are there when they need to go in. But we also don't want the windows there on day one. We don't want the windows there during demo. What if somebody breaks a window? So the GC has to know all these little things, and they actually have to know about every single trade. They can't know everything about every single trade. I mean, I guess in theory they could, and we're working towards that at Home Love Construction, but they have to know a substantial enough amount so that they can plan it out. And the reason I keep going like this is a lot of GCs do something similar to what we do here at Home Love Construction, and that's that we set up a Gantt chart. Now, if you look up a Gantt chart on Google, what you're gonna find is that it's literally just a timeline with a bunch of different steps, and it's okay, this step takes this long, then this step takes this long, and this one, da-da-da. And it literally just walks you through how a project is gonna go. But a Gantt chart also has an interesting feature. It has what's called a critical path. And the critical path is things that must happen in sequence. For example, on a project where there's a slab, and then there's block walls, and then there's trusses, and then there's things above the trusses. If your trusses are late, you are stopped at the point of trusses, and your critical path stops right there. You can't go past something on the critical path. You must have it done in order to move forward on it. Now, I'm always shocked when I see people not get that. It's like, well, of course you can't move on until your trusses are there. But then they don't realize that the implication is, well, you got to order your trusses early. You got to make sure that they're ready when you need them. So again, GC's job is to make sure we get this, not train wreck. So that said, if you're having trouble finding a great GC, you can definitely reach out to Home Love Construction. If you are in Florida, we actually have franchisees all over the state of Florida. But if you're in Florida, you can just go to homelove.construction. You can click the get a quote and we'll get somebody to come and give you an instant estimate on your project. If you're outside the state of Florida, still go to homelove.construction, still click the get a quote, and we will connect you with a vetted contractor in your local market, because we actually have a network of people. We have our franchisees locally, and then we have a network of people who we actually vet and then have give you a price on your project and actually do your project. These are people who, use our systems. These are people who we train with, and these are people who we trust to get your project done. So if you want a Home Love Construction partner on your project, just go to homelove.construction and you can click the get a quote. You can just let us know where you are and we'll hook you up with a partner in your local market. Now, again, if you would do me the honor of subscribing to this YouTube channel, I would really, really appreciate it because it does help me out a lot. It helps me to get in front of more people. We then wind up doing more projects, and then we learn more and we share what we learned with you. You know, when I started running this business 6 years, you know, this is my family's business. When I took this over 6 years ago, I could not have explained to you the way that I did just now what a GC is or does or is supposed to be, and or what they're supposed to do or have. And this ability to explain it to you like relatively concisely, I mean, I went through a lot of examples and it's not the shortest video I've ever done, but this clear explanation is something that I realized over experience of seeing a lot of things and actually realizing, oh, I'm not doing my job as the GC right now. And then realizing what that job is by seeing myself not doing it or seeing myself doing it great. And I'm like, oh, that's what the GC is supposed to do. Great, that's awesome. So that said, if you could help me out by subscribing, it'll help a lot of people out, because when I learn stuff like this, I then go and share it via videos. So that said, thank you for subscribing, and I'll see you in the next vid. Peace.